Hi, class. So today we're going to talk about ethical and social responsibility in marketing. So to begin with, just talking about the basics. What are ethics? So ethics are our moral principles and values, and they generally come from society and culture. Um, and then your laws are those values that are enforceable in court. And I would open up laws more. I mean, with laws, I would say what's ethical, what's legal or illegal, as you see depicted in this figure, because legality extends from laws, regulations, statutes, etc. And so this figure is showing you the four different ways of classifying um, decision making within ethics and legality. So you can have situations that are ethical, but they may actually be illegal per laws in a certain country or state or county or whatever. Um, you have situations where things are ethical and they're legal, where things are unethical and illegal. So not only should you not be doing it, it's actually against the law. And things that are unethical, maybe, but they are technically legal. And so that's just a classification system. So, how does our personal moral philosophy and our behavior develop? It comes from and is an offshoot kind of these three areas. So you have societal norms and culture that impact how businesses and industries practice, do business. And then you have expectations within those corporate cultures. And all of that combined really impacts how we, within a marketing, not just marketing framework, in general, how you are personally behaving in terms of ethicality and maybe your philosophy in terms of morality. So, what is your culture? Any values, ideas, attitudes amongst a group. So, that can stem from, if you are of a certain religion, or maybe it's your group, your culture as your family or your region of country or country period that you live in. And then so also to know that societal values and attitudes are relative to the area. So something that we may consider illegal and maybe unethical in our country might be legal and ethical in a different country, depending on what their values are. And so all of that is to say that that's, the values of where you're at. And I'm thinking more like one country versus another is going to impact that ethical and legal relationship. So within business culture, there's some different rules, boundaries, behavior. One is caveat emptor, and that's buyer beware. So letting the buyer know, like, this is what you're signing up for. So you see that a lot, like buyer beware. If you've ever bought a car and you're financing it and you have like a ton of different paperwork you have to sign, like they lay out everything so that you have the full information, which also goes into like the Consumer Bill of Rights, which are the four things listed. So the right to safety, to choose, to be informed, and to be heard. Then when you're talking about competition, there are some different areas, espionage and corruption. And again, these are going to vary in severity or occurrence by the country that you operate in. So corporate culture, so how things are within a particular organization. The at the top corporate level of strategy, you have your mission, your vision, and your values that state, what's the purpose of your business, where are you trying to go, and what values do you hold. Along with that comes, when you state those things, that should drive how your employees' behavior is. And so oftentimes to set guidelines, there's a company code of ethics. And so not only is it a formal statement of rules of conduct, you can go out to any company website and you can generally find their code of ethics, their values, etc. In order to enforce this, you really have to have management lead by example. So even if you have a code of ethics, if your management isn't leading by example and isn't following your code of ethics, oftentimes the employees aren't going to be either. Another concept within that is whistleblowing. And so whistleblowing is basically reporting unethical behavior. You as an individual employee, reporting unethical behavior or actions within a company, within your company. So there are now laws since Enron that I think happened in the 90s and was a huge, there's fake accounting and laws came out of that, etc. But back then, there was a lot of fear in so-called blowing the whistle because of retaliation from the company. So you're going to lose your job, you're going to be ostracized, etc. There are now laws that protect whistleblowers. And even to the point that if you see something and you don't say something, you could be held liable. So two personal moral philosophies, and I've kind of put their general definition out to the side. So your slide straight from the textbook may look a little bit different, as moral idealism. So that's that there are individual rights and duties that are universal. So 3M found out that there were really harmful chemicals in their products, so they stopped production. Utilitarianism is looking at what's the greatest good for the greatest number. So companies might say, like this example from Nestle, oh, well, we're going to keep producing this because nothing's effective 100% of the time. And then I think the last couple of concepts I'm going to talk about is social responsibility, or really mostly it's called corporate social responsibility. And that's the idea that corporations or firms are part of the overall environment and overall society. And therefore, they should be working to make a positive impact on society. So their responsibilities come from profits. They should maximize profits for stockholders. So if it's a public company, someone should invest in your company and have the expectation that there will be profit maximization. Stakeholder, so whomever is impacted by company's performance, that should be a thought and a concern. So a stakeholder is not just those stockholders. A stakeholder could be investors in the firm. It could be the employees in the firm. It could be those using or relying on the products or services. And then that societal responsibility piece is the idea I was talking about giving back or positively impacting the society in which you're a part of. And so this is kind of how all of that fits in together. And then that is it for the big highlight. You do need to read the chapter, do your SmartBook, do your quiz, and go through all the slides on your own as well.